as we look around Antigua and Barbuda and the world at large in the last few weeks, you realize that data is becoming a renewed buzzword, and the use of data, the collection of data, and so on. And so we thought we would dive into that. And with us today is our esteemed guest, my twin sometimes.
But hold on, you
Most
introduce
times.
me to everybody now.
Well,
So
we-
it's Colin, John Public, that's it.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Okay, let us go over this again. I am Petra Williams, the economist.
And I'm Colin John Jenkins, architect and sustainability consultant. But for the purposes of this video, I'm John Public.
Now, you notice he said I didn't introduce him.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's okay. It's okay. Colin, it's good to have you with me today.
Thank you. You look lovely, by the way. It's that shade of the mascara. What is that?
Somebody tell me that we need to do better, so I do it better. Afternoon, night, morning. I hope this works for you. Okay. All right.
Oh my.
Got that work?
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay, all right. So, as I was saying earlier, with us today to discuss data and the importance and significance of it is, fittingly, the senior statistician at the National Bureau of Statistics and the Deputy Census Officer, Ms. Tracelyn Joseph. Hi, Tracelyn.
Hi. Hi, Petra. Hi, Colin.
Now, even though I said who you are, you still have to give us a brief introduction of yourself.
Okay, I'm here and in two capacity. I am the senior statistician at the National Bureau of Statistics, where I'm responsible for social, demographic, and environment statistics. And I'm also one of the deputy census officer for Census 2025 Population and Housing Census.
Lovely. You said, what was it? Environmental data?
She said social first. Can you repeat what you said? Social, what?
Social, demographic, and environment statistics.
Now, representing John Public, what is a statistician? What do you do? Because you said data. I'm thinking computers, maybe some bookworks. What is it statisticians do?
So for the National Bureau of Statistics, we have statisticians, we have statistical officers, etc. Our main mandate is to collect, compile, and analyze statistics, disseminate and analyze official statistics for Antigua and Barbuda.
Collect, you said.
Yes,
People hand over their data to you?
it all depends. We are responsible. In statistics, you have data providers, data producers, and data users. We are all data users. All of us use the data. Data providers are persons who provide data to us. For example, the Ministry of Education will provide us at the Bureau with education stats. Tourism will provide us with tourism stats. Statistics, our bread and butter is consumer price index, censuses, and surveys. So we will be the provider and producers of those data.
Colin, I'm going to help you before you even ask it. She didn't mention anything but environmental stats.
How you know I'm going for
Because I know that's where you're going to.
The environment statistics, we get that from the Department of Environment. We do collaborate with some environmental statistics because there are various platforms and negotiations and things that we have signed on to as a government. So, for example, I'm going to use the Sustainable Development Goals. There's an environment component. We have environment indicators and we have the social financial indicators. So we do work closely with the Department of Environment in trying to compile some of the indicators.
That's interesting.
That works for you?
No, yeah,
You're surprised, aren't you?
No, I'm just.
I mean, that statistics centralizes all of that data.
Right, because this is going to lead to the next question I wanted to ask. Because on the surface, in John Public, you'd hear we don't have enough data, and conversely, we don't use the data to make the right decisions. From your organization, do you collect data from the private sector?
Yes, we do. We collect data for our national accounts and the balance of payment. We do have a survey that we do every year where we send the various forms to various institutions and they fill out the forms with their financial records. They send it back to us. We do a compilation along with ECCB, and this is where we come up with our GDP.
Which is when they talk about the economic growth rate, you know, and you can get your gross national product, when you talk about your per capita income. So I'm not still interested in that, but I remember those little bit because I used to do it once upon a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's where.
PJ is correct.
So let me ask you a question. If it is that you're starting a business or starting a company, or you want to do something.
Mhm.
And the data is what you need to help make some of these decisions to know whether or not it's viable or even feasible to do. Is this something that the statistics department offers as consultation to individuals, or
No.
some of it is behind, private?
If you're going to start a business, you're going to more likely go to intellectual properties. Depends on the kind of data that you're looking for. You will come to us. If we can assist you, then we'll assist you. If not, we'll try to steer you in the direction that you should go to get that data.
So let me jump in here and provide a little supplement. So if you're starting a business and perhaps you need trade statistics,
Mm-hmm.
like import and export
Yes.
by various sectors,
Yeah.
you can get that
Yes, you can
information
get that
from there.
Okay.
If you're looking for population general information,
You get that from us because that's our bread and butter census.
if you're looking for education, well, if you're looking for population about young people and so on,
Mm-hmm.
you may not get necessarily the young people, but statistics would have the education stats
Yes, we would.
so that you can use that to infer. If you're looking for death and live births, they would get that from
They get that from the Ministry of Health.
And so they would also have it. Tracelyn, you know what I think would be good for Colin now? Tell them how they can access information. Let's get it out of the way early. Because I know about I know makes
We
sense.
have a website that is very functional. It's www.statistics.gov.ag. And we have education stats, we have tourism stats, we have balance of payment, national account stats, we have social stats, we have population and housing stats. Just go on our website and you will be sure to find a wealth of information.
I wanted to ask, do you work closely with universities like State College, Abbott, these tertiary educational facilities? Work closely in the sense that do they come to you for data when they're doing research?
Yes, they do.
They do.
They do. We have a lot of students that come to us or go on our website and they come and try to get data for different assignments they're doing. Some person doing the thesis, some person's doing whatever assignment they do. Even the young ones doing the school-based assessment and grade six assessment, they have different projects they're doing. They do come to us and we do provide them with information as long as we have it in-house. If we do not have it in-house, like I said, you have data providers, producers. If we do not produce the data, we cannot give that to you. We have to go to our stakeholders to get that data.
I have a question.
Yes.
Well, I always have questions, that is. Boy, Colin, mind turning over there when you say that thing there. But I want to just very briefly go back to when you mentioned the CPI. I'm not going to dwell on it for too long. But every month in Antigua, when the CPI data comes out,
What's the CPI date?
Consumer Price Index.
Thank you. I'm John Public. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I'm wearing the wrong hat today. Yes, the Consumer Price Index,
Thank
which
you
is a
very
measure
much.
of inflation.
Mhm.
And so when it comes out, you will hear they would say that the price, the food index moved by X amount, and the household index moved by this amount,
Price for fuel?
and
No.
the price of fuel
It's
didn't really
different.
move so much. But that's in there too, right?
Yes.
The fuel index will be in there.
So you have a basket that has a
Right.
certain.
So there's a basket of goods, and every month people cuss
Yes,
because according to them, the information doesn't make no sense.
that is true.
Now,
People will say
here is
that.
my question to you, because I know you're not the CPI specialist, but I just a general thing. Why should we take the CPI seriously? Should we at all?
Yes, we should. Because the CPI helps to tell the general public basically what person's spending power is like in Antigua and Barbuda. And it is critical that we know what is going on in our country.
Where y'all get the information?
Well, every month we do go into the supermarkets in the basket of goods.
Wait, hold on. So every month, the real prices that we see in the supermarkets.
Yes, that is what is used to calculate the CPI for that month. Yes. So every month, a team of our staff that works, the CPI team, they go with their list, with a basket of goods. They go to Epicurean. I know they go to Epicurean. It's like a survey you're doing. First choice, Little Canton.
I think you do market as well.
Yes.
They
Right.
don't have to take pressure tablets when it's them prices?
So, yes, and then you might see last month, whoa, this was $4, then this month it might be $6.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, and that is when they come back, they put that into their program, they do the calculation, and that is when they work on what they're working on and come up with the CPI for that month.
I have so many questions.
You can get two because we don't have a lot of time.
Okay, so is there any validity to people saying that we don't have data or we don't have sufficient data?
Yes and no.
Okay.
We do have data. Like I said, when I say we, the National Bureau of Statistics, is responsible for, we do have data for that. When it comes to the other aspect of it, whether it's administrative data, we have to get that from all stakeholders. Now, if the stakeholders hold on to the data as their husband and wife, we can have no control over that. So you might be looking for something and we don't produce that data, but the stakeholder is not giving it to us, so we can't give you that data. Then people will come and say, go on the radar and say, then people at statistics never have nothing.
So when you say, give me an example of
Administrative
something
data.
that is not available that we could possibly like.
That would be good for us to know.
Ooh, I'm having a senior moment right now. But there's a lot of data that person want that we don't have in-house
Because we can't collect.
because we're not getting it. Sometimes there's some ministries, like I said, they have the data.
Wait, the ministries have the data and don't give it to staff?
Yes.
Okay, we can come back.
Wow.
Yeah, girl,
Okay,
yeah.
so Petra and I, years ago, were part of Antigua's first think tank. The reason we created the think tank,
Wait, you're not plenty somehow done the
let me tell you, the reason we created the think tank was because we were concerned about career paths for persons leaving high school or secondary school. And after 9 months of research, we published a white paper that spoke about a disconnect between what the society was looking for, where trends of careers were going, versus what the students were selecting in school as subject areas. And I think that was important to capture because when you look at the needs of the country, and we had a human resource professional here to validate what we were thinking, there may be a disconnect in key areas that we really need to firm up on. And I don't get the sense that there was synergies between the data and research versus the scholarships that are offered. And I understand that countries give what they have. But in terms of the long-term planning of our human resource and capitalizing on sectors that we need to build out, that exercise, we didn't see the data. And at that time, Petra didn't tell me that that data existed. So we did the research,
The data doesn't exist.
published it, and then to show that this is something that was good to have. And then hopefully, as the years go by, maybe that's something that's why I asked the question about the universe.
Hold on,
no.
let me help you out. What are you trying to get? Are you trying to find out if, because in that study, we had actually surveyed the students
Yes.
to find out what they wanted to become. Statistics doesn't do that unless somebody engage. But you can engage statistics, can we, Tracelyn?
Yes, you can. And then if someone wants to do a special survey, because like Peter just mentioned, that was a survey that you did. So now as technology evolves and as the world evolves, as we move forward, we're now in a more digital age. Things are improving. So if you bring something to the table and we can partner with you, we will run with it as
Okay.
long as the resources are there.
Okay.
In other words, they can help us do another updated survey.
Right. No, that's why I asked if you did.
Well, not her. We have to talk to the chief.
Right.
To not get Tracelyn in trouble.
Yes, the chief.
That's why I was
Administrator.
asking if you partnered with the university to do research.
Persons are doing various surveys.
Yeah.
Because by law, any surveys that you guys conduct should really come through the National Bureau of Statistics.
So let me ask you a question. Do you have like how many lawyers, how many doctors, how many nurses, how many contractors? Do you have that kind? I need major and public, you forget? Do you have that compiled anywhere?
We have that probably from the last census. Because
Which was how long ago?
2011. And
We're getting into that, you know.
wait.
Uh-huh.
When we do our labor force survey, we
Oh, so
ask
we
you,
do that.
we
Labor
ask
force.
you your profession, so we'll have something
Oh,
from
so
that.
you do have something.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we do.
They have some information. It might be a little dating,
Uh-huh.
but they do
We
have
have-
information.
we have some
Yeah.
information.
All right, but this is kind of off the cuff, outer box, but still.
No, actually, I don't think it's off the cuff.
No,
because-
what I'm gonna ask her, no.
Oh dear.
We're gonna get back to that to get into the census,
Maybe it's
right?
half an hour.
I know.
Well done,
But
Tracelyn.
we also did a research on divorce rates in Antigua and Barbuda.
Yes, we did that.
We actually published a white paper, so we did two.
Mhm.
And we took note that in terms of divorce rates in Antigua and Barbuda,
Mhm.
we were tied with the Barbados in 2014.
Well, now for the divorce rate,
Uh-huh.
that is coming from the High Court.
But do they give it to you?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so you
It's
have
on
that.
it's on the website.
Yes.
Okay.
I tested that this morning.
So we do need more relationships.
Yes.
and
So
social security
one of the
data.
things that we have been doing over the years at
Yeah.
the National Bureau of Statistics, we have been creating better synergies with our stakeholders.
Mhm.
We have a very good relationship with the Department of Environment. We do have a good relationship with education, and we have MOUs with certain ministries, because the sharing of information, we're in an era that persons don't want to share their information, but we do have different partnerships, different MOUs with some of our stakeholders.
I have a devil's advocate question for Colin.
I thought that
for
was-
Colin.
Oh,
Not for you, Tracelyn. Colin, have you ever participated in any surveys done by the ministry? Sorry, by the National Bureau. Forgive me for my tongue time, because this concept of the National Bureau of Statistics is very new to
fancy
me,
name,
but
right?
it's very
Fancy.
exciting. Have you ever participated in any surveys done by the National Bureau?
How did they contact me? Telephone?
I'm asking you if you've ever participated. Can you recall?
I can't remember in recent memory. I know it's part of the census when they did it the last time.
Okay, so you've done the census. You've
Yes.
never been a part of a labor force survey. You can't remember?
No.
You can't remember ever doing a diary for a national, what's the one with the diary? Income in national expenditure survey?
Yeah.
Right. You can't remember doing any of that?
No.
Okay. Can you remember getting a form to fill out for the National Council Balance of Payment?
No hablo inglés.
Tracelyn, techie number. Techie
Okay,
number,
you need-
Tracelyn.
Yes,
Put
again.
it in the
So she gave me set up now.
Yes.
And the
So
reason,
so you'll have a better idea of some of the things that we do at the National Bureau of Statistics.
And the reason why I said that is because he asked about how, well, we want to tie data to decision making.
Ah,
And
yes.
we want to tie quality of data to decision making.
Mhm.
So, for example, when the IMF gives information about Antigua, because
Mhm.
we don't want to hear from statistics, we want to hear from the IMF.
Mhm.
Where does the IMF based data comes from?
Mhm.
And where does the central bank based data come from?
Mhm.
Do you work along with those international agencies?
Yes, we do. There's division, the National Bureau of Statistics. We work along closely with the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, and the Ministry of Finance. So, yes.
See? So when people hear the IMF say Antigua's growth rate is X percentage
They could
points,
actually cut out the middleman and go straight to stats.
the point is that
Mhm.
while, of course, the IMF will come in and they will do their own quote-unquote independent assessment to validate the
Mhm.
data,
Mhm.
but the core data
Comes from
from
the
the statistics division.
Mhm.
So I want to tie that very quickly to me doing public service announcement, because I just struggle.
You know where you go with this.
I just struggle.
Mhm.
When they come to you all with those forms for you to fill out,
Please
as it relates to the national accounts and balance of payments,
Especially the financial section.
yes,
Please do.
they can't. And let me put in a disclaimer: they can't tell Inland Revenue. Tracelyn, am I wrong? Can you share your information with Inland Revenue?
Who? The Statistics
Yes.
Division.
There's some level of
Then,
privacy.
yeah, we have an MOU with them.
No, that they can share with you, but you can't share with them.
I'm not sure.
I'm confident.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely confident
Mhm.
that they can give you information, because you need information to do the data collection.
Yes.
And to do the compilation,
Mhm.
but you can't give, because remember, and I'm saying that if you
Because
remember,
we cannot give out persons
they can't
Personal information.
like that, because
No.
that's a confidentiality clause
Oh,
right there.
okay.
We don't want to get in trouble.
Wait a minute.
So they
Come
can't
to-
do individual,
come to
and they
think-
can't do individual
Come to
business
think of it, I
information.
did get. Do you do telephone calls?
Not for data collection.
No,
they
not for
would call
data.
to remind
Right.
you.
Okay.
You should have collected
Fill
something.
out the form.
Ah, okay.
Colin, you know, fill out the form.
What farm?
The same one that you forget, they get a call about.
Okay, check in the archive.
So now I want to perhaps, and of course
I
you're listening
mentioned
to, you're listening and watching I
In
in
the
Economy. I'm co-host Petra Williams, and
Co-host, both of us are hosts, right? This is a
I said
gender
co-host.
gender equality vibe going on here.
it's not co-host.
Is
What co-host me and Colin?
Atuayo.
oh,
Okay, so as we go down the backstretch, I want to touch on perhaps the most important data collection exercise that's upcoming, the
Yeah.
census.
considering how long we haven't done one and how important it is to plan, because you know something, Petra likes to beat people talking about long-term planning. But how are we going to long-term plan if we don't have data and persons provide data and work with the statistics department?
You say we dangerous? Petra likes to beat people. Not Petra and Colin, just
No.
Petra.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Tracelyn, how
Yeah.
important is the census?
Very, very, very important. A census is the stock taking of the number of persons in a population. And we need that data for various aspects in society.
Okay, I know why you need the data, but why should I be interested in
Why John
you having
Public
the
needs
data?
Because you're a data user and you come into us for the same data you don't want to give us. We are all part of the national statistical system in Antigua and Barbuda, and we all have to play our part. Right? You have to answer the questions on our questionnaire if we're going to move forward. We need the data for proper policy planning, proper government planning, students and academia, researchers. We need the data for, what else we need the data for? Investment
as well?
in, right? Healthcare, investment opportunities. We need the data
I
on
understand.
all education as well.
I have a simple one.
Which one?
Colin asked earlier if people want to know how many small businesses there are in a certain sector, if you have the data, and you said you don't necessarily have the data. When you're doing the census and people give you information on
We-
like the kind of
Compile
business,
it.
then you can have that.
Then we can have that. Yes.
right.
So you need to do the census.
So it would tell us an idea of if we need more schools or not,
Exactly.
if we need a more hospital.
And the road, just the road to drive come up here. Oh Lord. You tell the policymakers where they have to do better roads, better infrastructure. If a place is overcrowded, a geographical location is overcrowded, if you need to build another police station with the amount of crimes going on now.
You need to change the constituency boundaries.
And all that.
So I know Petra would have had some interactions with the People's Republic of China. And
Yeah, I noticed she's a Chinese these days.
Ni hao, sure. So she would have wrote very in-depth pieces over the period about them and having Congress and meetings and doing their forward projections and so on, right? The census to me is something critical as part of that discussion and our future vision for Antigua and Barbuda.
Yes, and promote us, please. Encourage the general public to participate.
I don't have a problem with that because I think actually on social media people have been saying that we have long passed the date that we should have had one. How often are countries expected to have censuses now?
We expected to have a census every 10 years, but in 2021, we were in the heart of COVID. So we have had a lot of issues, hence why we're going now. So we are making sure that we execute this year. We need the public buy-in in order for us to get in the field and get out as soon as possible. So in return, we can plan for the next census, which we are hoping to get back in the 10-year intervals,
Yeah.
which is 2031.
Yeah.
But in order for us to do that, the general
Wait the full 10 years.
Right. The general public needs to participate in the census, cooperate with us. When the enumerators come, they don't have to worry. Your data will be kept confidential because every employee that we employ for the census, you have to take an oath of secrecy. If you divulge anything, you get fined and confined. So you don't have to worry about that.
This sounds to me like a bipartisan initiative, which
It
means
is.
that both
Not
administration and opposition should be.
Right, exactly. It's neither red nor blue. So we had our official launch last week, which was very good, and we are hyping right now. We're in the final stages before we go into the field come June 25th, 2020.
Didn't China conduct one recently in order for them to recognize that their one-child policy was really
Needed to be adjusted,
Yes.
amended?
It was true, something like that,
Okay,
right?
so I could add to Tracelyn's points. One, censuses are done across the world. Everywhere in the world,
Yeah.
we do them. The United States, they do theirs via mailing. They then do some supplemental walk around, but they do mailing. You're expected to mail back in your response.
Okay.
In China, I think they do this a similar thing. They have a little more hands-on approach. They can do a mixed approach. Across the Caribbean, everybody does it. And I can tell you, having participated in the last two censuses, actively worked as a supervisor both times, may travel this time, so I don't have time for that right now. But yeah, but but I can assure you that there is no time for anybody. People are concerned about the confidentiality. People working on the census, they have so much
They couldn't be
information
bothered, right?
in their head that unless I'm meaning to be spiteful to just Jenkins,
Yeah.
I don't have no time to remember Jenkins information. That's number one. Number two, the people who are doing the data collection are very rarely the people who are doing the processing.
And another point I should add here. 2011, we use a booklet paper,
Oh,
but for
yes.
2025, we're using computer-assisted personal interviewer copy. We're using tablets. And
That's the
when
only thing I'm vexed for not doing it for.
And when you're the data, when we're disaggregating the data, it will be done in aggregated format. So no names will be there. You don't know those are removed.
Yeah.
So persons don't have to worry. You just
So if I tell somebody I have some money under my mattress, they don't know who is the person that said they work for X amount of
don't
money.
question it like that, so you wouldn't have to tell him that.
Okay, perfect. So then I'll ask, but okay,
No.
okay.
They ask the income question. They will ask you, what is your gross income?
Yeah.
What is your income?
Level of education
and
that kind
your
of
debt,
stuff,
right?
children.
Age and
Okay,
right.
okay.
And again, as we wrap, these questions, the answer to these questions are important. Remember, we like to have conversations, Colin, on social media and other places about what's the average income of people in Antigua. So when, for example, the Prime Minister says that the per capita income is this amount, then we have debates among ourselves as to really what the average income is for people, how many people make this amount, and so on.
And now the census data
census
will
will
back
have
you up,
factual
will back you
data.
through,
Census
right?
will have.
It will have factual data for the
So you
policymakers
get-
to get informed decisions.
You said, notice, you said it will give us information for informed decision making. This one say yeah, information for us.
No.
Yeah, you're bacative.
Facts.
Okay, so it's facts for Bakative. All right.
Factual data.
Tracelyn, you get the last word. Again, you're listening to Eye on the Economy with
Wonderful
your co-host,
conversation.
Colin Jenkins and Petra Williams. He say wonderful conversation. What? With the both hosts,
Yes.
with the most.
The host of.
You want me to change it? All right, sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Eye on the Economy with the hosts. Where name?
Colin John Jenkins.
Thank you, and Petra Williams. Tracelyn, you get the last word as we wrap. What is it about data and the National Bureau of Census the National Bureau of Statistics and Census would you like to leave with the listeners or viewers?
I want to leave with your listeners today that we are all data users and we are all part of the National Statistical System of Antigua and Barbuda. And if you want data from the National Bureau of Statistics, you have to do your part and you have to help us to execute the 2025 population and housing census. And if you're stakeholders in other aspects of data production, you need to share that data with the National Bureau of Statistics.
Lovely. All right.
I think we had a cool one.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Petra Williams and
Colin John Jenkins.
signing out.
Stay tuned for more videos.